All right, today's the day millions of Americans have been waiting for. America's great eclipse making its way across the nation. Good afternoon, I'm Kenny Choi.
And I'm Michelle Griego. The show just wrapped up here on the West Coast. We have live team coverage on this rare event. Let's begin with KPIX 5 reporter Sandra Osborne, who is live at NASA's Ames Research Center. Sandra.
Hey there, you two. Now, the sun may look normal once again, but NASA scientists are hoping that the research they did during this eclipse will help them better understand not only the atmosphere around the sun, but also things like solar flares. Here at NASA Ames Research Center, people had a blast trying to get a glimpse of the solar eclipse, of course, using their NASA-approved glasses.
I can't believe this. I can't believe I get to see it.
It's getting dark on the top.
An out-of-this-world experience at NASA Ames Research Center as hundreds enjoyed the view.
Like, this is amazing. It's just like a tiny bit of the sun is being scooped out by the moon.
Not only inspiring for kids and adults alike, the solar eclipse was also a time for scientists to research.
That's some of the science that they'll be doing, trying to understand the chromosphere and why the corona, another part of the atmosphere above the chromosphere, is so hot.
The corona is typically too hard to see when the sun is at its brightest.
The solar eclipse is great for that type of science because the moon does the best job of covering up the sun for us.
NASA used research aircraft, high-altitude balloons, and modified telescopes to learn from this unique event. On the ground, though, some used solar glasses, others, like 10-year-old Cyrus, finding other ways like using reverse binoculars and some construction board.
If you tilt it at just the right angle, you can see that white dot, that's the sun.
So cool. And for some people, these glasses are pretty hard to come by, but don't get rid of them just yet. Hold on to them because there will be another solar eclipse coming to the U.S. in quite some time, though. It's going to be in April of 2024, going from Texas to Maine. From NASA Ames Research Center, I'm Sandra Osborne, KPIX 5.
And in the South Bay, the San Jose Astronomical Association made viewing the eclipse an event at Hoji Park. That's where we find KPIX 5's Kit Doe. Kit.
Yeah, it was a bit of a late start down here in the South Bay. When the eclipse first started, it was pretty overcast, still a good bit of cloud cover at the moment. So anybody with those special fancy glasses was out of luck for the moment. However, that helped out our cameras quite a bit. Now, the clouds helped to cut down the light enough so that we could get a shot of the initial start, showing the moon taking a bite out of the sun. By 9:30 a.m., the clouds had burned off, and that's when the oohs and ahs started amongst the crowd. The San Jose Astronomical Association held an event here at Hoji Park, which drew several hundred people. They had more than a half dozen telescopes with tracking devices and special filters and cameras to give everyone an up-close view.
It's amazing.
It's one of those phenomenons that unless you see it, you would not believe it.
It's pretty awesome. It's actually really incredible. The clouds have cleared away and the sun is insanely bright. It kind of looks like a Pac-Man, but like way cooler.
And so we saw some pretty ingenious methods to watch the eclipse today without those special glasses. This is using a reverse binocular setup. And this is the view from two welding masks that were stacked together. Now, coming up later tonight, the Astronomical Society is working on some footage that they had a camera hooked up to one of their powerful telescopes. They're going to give that footage to us later today. I did get a preview of it, and it looks pretty darn cool. We'll have that for you at 5 p.m. today. And we're live in San Jose. Kit Doe, KPIX 5.
Bet it looks cool, Kit. Thanks so much. And our Roberta Gonzalez got the view from the East Bay. She is live in Oakley. Hey there, Roberta.
Hi there, Michelle. I began my morning in San Francisco at 8:30 where we were totally socked in. So I jumped in my car and it took me about 45 miles until I broke through that deck of clouds, ended up in Bay Point, then on to Pittsburgh, then drove into Antioch, lots of sunshine, and then I ended up right here at the Big Break Visitor Center and Delta in Oakley. Lots of sunshine, 66 beautiful degrees, greeted by about 500 people, young and not so young, quite the generation gap out here. And everybody had one thing in common, and that was they were smiling. Now, I thought my fancy smancy glasses were the way to view the partial eclipse, but I soon learned that other people had other methods of viewing our partial eclipse.
The pinhole viewing has been really popular, but actually someone on your team, their favorite thing they saw was binoculars. So you put the binoculars up backwards towards the sun, and then the way it casts a shadow, it makes the viewing a little larger than a colander.
Out here at the Delta in Oakley this morning, we had a temperature of 66 degrees come 10 o'clock in the morning when it was time to start viewing the eclipse. By 10:30, this was the most incredible thing. The temperature dropped a good 10 degrees and you could really feel it. It felt like a San Francisco morning here at the Delta with it turning a little bit on the dimmer side and a lot of breeze and a lot of cooler air. So that was remarkable to feel out here in Oakley. Michelle and Kenny?
Well, Roberta, it was so great because Kenny and I went on the roof earlier this morning and we were able to see it as the clouds moved. So we were using our glasses and we had to look for a while until it came into view, but we were able to see it. It was pretty cool.
Good job. I'm proud of you guys for getting up there. I know how you're afraid of heights, too.
Yeah, we definitely had fun. All right, Roberta, thank you so much. All right, well, people in the narrow path of totality got to experience the moon completely blocking out the sun, while the rest of the country saw a partial eclipse. Reporter Don Champion is along the path of totality and joins us live from St. Joseph, Missouri. Don.
Yeah, good afternoon, Kenny. I'm one of the 15,000 people here at this airport who got mooned by this eclipse, as they're saying here. This gathering here was just one of countless from coast to coast for this once-in-a-lifetime celestial event. A spectacular sight in the sky as the coast-to-coast total eclipse of the sun got underway. The city of Portland, Oregon went dark in the middle of the day as the moon's shadow totally blocked out the sun. Across the nation, crowds gathered to get a glimpse of the phenomenon. This is the first coast-to-coast total eclipse of the sun in nearly 100 years, spanning from Oregon to South Carolina. Millions flocked to the 70-mile wide path of totality.
It's like a big cookie and took a little bite out of it.
It's like in basically all the pictures you see, but just more magnificent.
During the total eclipse here in St. Joseph, Missouri, it got completely dark out and considerably cooler. You can hear cheers and chants from people gathered. Carbondale, Illinois had the distinction of being in the dark the longest, 2 minutes and 40 seconds. And while the focus may be on the path of totality, the rest of the country was treated to a partial eclipse, making it the rare space spectacle the entire nation can enjoy. And by the time the eclipse moves out into the Atlantic Ocean, we are told that about 20 million people would have viewed it. Kenny, that would make it the most viewed eclipse possibly in history. I got to tell you, it was literally like 2 minutes of just awesomeness.
Yeah, Michelle and I were very envious of your assignment, Don. We're glad you had some fun out there. Thank you so much, Don. And we are not done with our continuing coverage of the solar eclipse. Our very own Ken Bastida will have live reports for you from Oregon starting tonight at 5.